Hello, group number 11. Welcome to your reading. Let's find out why you're here. This is the strategies and thinkings you need to apply to today. So, the thinking you need to apply is synthesize. So, how could you adapt this to a new idea or experiment? How could you create or design something new? What can you predict or infer? And how could you demonstrate this to someone else? What elements could be added? So these are the questions that you need to keep in mind for your reading today, and you're needing to synthesize what messages are for you and what you need to let go through away. So synthesize is your thinking strategy for this reading today, and I've pulled 2 oracle cards, one for dark, one for light, and this will be the theme of the reading you're needing to synthesize with. Okay, so we've got the Kingfisher here. So the Kingfisher talks about deep dive. Now, the first thing I notice about this is obviously the Kingfisher is a bird. So birds stay up high, they fly in the sky. But also what gets me interested is that it says deep dive. So this bird is a kingfisher, right? Not only does he navigate the skies, his name implies that he also swims and eats underwater. Find some sort of retreat underwater. So a deep dive, and the blue there gives me water energy of emotions, subconscious, sort of giving me that background despairness. This gives me a sense of a rainbow gum tree. A rainbow eucalyptus tree or gum tree. Somehow they're related. They don't grow in Australia. But they do grow in parts around Australia. But this gives me the feeling of like the rainbow tree, the rainbow gum tree, the rainbow eucalyptus tree. So it gives me a sense of offshore, tapping in and tapping out. And then your dark side card is governed by the number 14. So initiate protection, and the name of this card is self-initiation. So deep dive into self-initiation is the theme topic of this reading, and you're needing to synthesize this reading. So if we take a deeper look, if I just have a quick look at this card. Alright, so we've got little kitty cat down in the corner there, nice and comfortable. So during your self-initiation period, your spirituality and your connection to spirit is quite strong, calm, collected. There's a sense of roses here, so there's a love for this whole process, or a sense of after this process or the beginning of the process, there's a sense of self-love. So maybe you're taking a deeper dive into yourself, what you love about yourself, and maybe questioning the other ideas around what you didn't like about yourself. So this talks about shadow work as well. All right. So in the progress of self-initiation and taking a deeper dive, your outcome will be abundance, opportunity, and resources. So you will be able to handle yourself with grace, like the swan, the black swan. Abundance, opportunity, resources. Okay. All right, so let's read your angel card. So we've got the Wheel of Fortune. That's pretty cool. Raphael, the god has healed. So sounds like this self-discovery, self-initiation, and a deeper dive into the depths of your emotions, your subconscious. There's a big sense of healing. And that brings a lot of self-love. So Raphael is your angel in your reading today, the God has healed. So healing heals all, heals all disorders. So disorders, so things that aren't in their place, displacement. Healing displacement. Protects travelers and medical workers. So either you're traveling for work, working in the medical field, a medical worker, doing some sort of medical work in the terms of not being in the medical field but focusing on the medical wellness of each individual human being. Healing, I'm talking to the healers. Right down to the health workers, to the literal health workers who are there to support you. And I'm also talking about the spiritual healers. So everywhere in between, the doctors, the philosophers, medical professionals. So God has heals all disorders. So there's some sense of belonging and togetherness coming into your life. So Sagittarius, the angel sitting into your 9th house. This is a higher philosophy, a belief, a religion, and a law. So you believe that you're a healer because you have a higher knowing that everyone should be healed. You have a higher knowing that everyone has lessons and learnings, and healing helps them get on track. You understand that there is a law to what you do as a healer, so you must act with integrity, good intention, and be able to have the experience and heal yourself in order to heal others. That's the law, so that's the way of being and living your life. Or the way that the process or the treatment is carried out. There's also a sense of exploration. So if it's not physical travel, I feel like this is out-of-body experiences as well. So talking about self-initiation and also thinking about the casual body, so the body you're touching. Also thinking about the soul body, the aura, so the energy outside of my physical body. Healers are able to tap into that energy and help you work through that energy. And then there's the spiritual sense. So this is connection to your higher self. This is the communication. So once that gateway is open for information and communication, there's a huge change that's coming. So we'll get into that soon. All right. So healing, the healer, the helper. So the healing and the helper is often doing this type of work because they've suffered themselves a great deal of pain. If they haven't, they're able to understand that their experience somewhat relates to another experience on different levels of intensity, but also using that energy and that emotional experience to put themselves down deeper down beneath the depths of the subconscious into that person's energy. They're able to rationalize and tap into why, because they have some sort of reference of relevance as to what this person's going through. So there's a sense here, so in your Scorpio house, this is like wealth of others. So this is talking about perhaps the information that you've come to know or learn or worked hard to acquire. There's a sense of leveling up. I'm also getting sacral energy, so stomach, which is like bringing awareness to something that brings you creative passion. Like I feel stomach is like passion because it's very emotional, it's very water-like, and we're more likely to remember things when we have emotional ties to those experiences. So there's a sense of stepping away and leveling up. Eight of Swords. Let's look at this card a little further. So Eight of Swords. Sitting in your 7th house. So this is marriages and partnerships. something that you tie yourself to being faithful to if you don't have the significant other, or if you're not married, or whoever consumes that type of energy, right? So we're talking about 8 of Swords. 8, this is infinity, the symbol. Now the Swords speaks about air energy and communication. Now if we want to discover what type of frequency this communication's operating on, well, we've got a bit of a hint here, because there's we have the sense of an internal womb here. But also this feels like predisposed. So predisposed, and some sort of cause of imbalancement during development. However that resonates for anyone, oh my goodness. So this is also referring to general public and public criticism about topics that you're closely tied to, especially when it comes to the ideas that you're birthing, or something that you're dealing with in terms of self-initiation, diving deeper into self-discovery. So the energy beneath this is discover new ways of thinking. So this is talking about opening your mind. And there's number 9 there, so perhaps group 9 reading might be something, there might be something in that for you if you feel drawn to pick it at that time. So open your mind. Open your mind. So if I'm reading around the board this way and I say open your mind, the next card is the Death card. Now everyone freaks out when they see the Death card in Tarot, and just so you know, I see the Death card as Scorpion energy. So this is just change and transformation, shifts and epiphanies, an application of, what's been thorough, what needs to be thorough. So it's this also talks about past lives and inherited energies. It could be you're needing to shed a negative way of thinking about yourself because you were brought up to believe something about yourself. So I always, I suppose I would just think about my name readings that I do. So the name readings is interesting because how many of us have actually picked our own names? How many of us have named ourselves? So therefore it's not a personal reading. It's a reading around the energy of the symbols and the perception of others naming you the information, this tag, this name. So there are aspects and times and periods in life where you may embody that energy or embody those characteristics because that might be inherited through the name. But everyone has their own destiny and their own fate. So if we're looking at the Death card over here, opposing the Star, so this is talking about discover new ways of thinking in relation to changing your transformating information in regards to becoming who you are, the Star. This makes me feel like Leo's reading, star sign reading. And, acknowledging within yourself that you have this unknown potential to bring light and awareness to something. And if I'm not talking about fame, which I very well could be, because that looks as though it's on the cards here too. I'll start talking about it now. So in common stories of fame, the best ones we've heard of are the ones that have come out of poverty. These are the success stories, right? We all want to know, everyone comes out with a big sad story. We hear it on Australia's Got Talent. Why are you here? What brought you to your passion? It sounds so cliche, but there's a lot of information in the detail, and I heard devil in the detail, right? So you have to go through a bad experience to be able to awaken to what the right thing is and your path. And a bad experience could be anything that makes you feel as though you've been hard done by, So talking about sacral energies, like being kicked out of home, being eliminated, being forced out of home too early, not having parents around. Well, that means looking after your siblings because you don't have your parents and you're having to find somewhere to take them. or being the black sheep of the family and being kicked out because you don't share the same family values, because you just don't make any sense in them. Maybe you're seeing contradictions and you're saying, okay, well, we value this, but you're portraying this characteristic. That doesn't make sense to me. I still sit with that value, but I don't sit well with you. Characteristics I might not want to take up with you. We just don't mesh well. So instead of having a go at your character, I'm just going to retreat and move away. So you might have had to move away from things that just really didn't serve you and sit well. And it's like, this is the suffering and the type of pain stories that people go through. Right down to losing a loved one, or to becoming disabled or having some sort of disease, and overcoming that, not letting their disabilities seize their opportunities to live differently, because in those moments of downfall, they discover new ways of thinking, because when we have something, we don't really appreciate it until it's gone. And so without that resource, we're having to tap into other abilities, opportunities, skills, experiences to apply that lack need of source elsewhere to get a better outcome. So Mother Earth, the turtle, that feels like my last reading. So there's a sense of wisdom, longevity, a sense of knowing when to come and go. So you're being protected and prepared because you're building resilience. So for some of you, I was saying before, I don't usually take the death card as the death card, but in this deck, it implies that it could be the changing the way of your thinking through the sight of death. So that's very much like Scorpio energy. It's like awakening to death enlightens you to your spiritual path, your waking path, your light to your life, your position, your power, and your purpose. And it's like when we talk about displacement and things like that, often it's just to change the way of looking at things, because opportunities open where we cease to think to exist. Excuse me. I try and cough away from the microphone. It's weird, I get these like bodily reactions after channeling, and then after reading, and then after feeling. So it's like I'm having to bounce between all of these different things to be able to pull messages for you. So you've got the moon down here opposing the King of Pentacles, so Aquarius, Leo. So Leo in your 5th house is creativity, governed by children, so your inner child, the young you, the young creative you. This also inspires romance and how we have sex, how we engage with intercourse. This is like starting with, how do you love yourself? Therefore, that depends on how much passion you're able to get from others, from a friendship down to your other loving other part. So it's keeping yourself in check into why these things are happening. And often things happen because things have gone on for too long and things need to change. So the universe comes in and throws us a big curveball. And often when we're going through it, we don't feel like it's of any benefit at all. But seeing this death and the star card energy opposing each other, this is balancing the light and the dark side of you. So, death may have initiated you to turn towards yourself, and therefore taking a deeper dive brings you into this star energy of fame. You find your purpose, you find your fame, because you've really dug really deep, and you've tapped within, and you've used all your abilities to apply it to yourself. Deep self-reflection. So there's like this King of Pentacles here. This is like being selective, because there's a knowing that this is like fame, opportunity, everything in abundance. It's like, if for some of you have have actually lost a loved one that's really close, know that often how big that thing that we lost, how big that role played in our life was that we lost, something else just even more bigger has to replace it. So For those of you who have lost loved ones, close ones, know that it's never ever the right time for them to go, ever. And know that death is not a curse. Know that it should be celebrated because they have achieved their life outcomes. Their life should be celebrated. So, in a sense, for some of you, it's talking about discovering new ways of thinking in regards to death. It could be an inherited way of thinking that death is believed to be heaven and hell, or death is believed to be, whatever the belief is around death. We all have our own beliefs around death. But it's until we stand really close to it that we start questioning what those beliefs are, because that's a spiritual experience. So you're experiencing something that you hear and learn about all your life, or you avoid, but then when you're hit right in the face with this near-death experience. So a near-death experience, for me, when I say that right now, is like you've been near someone who's had the death experience. And then that's talking about external forces, but talking about internal forces, having your near-death experiences is having that moment in life where you nearly died. But in that transition from there to coming back out, it's, people talk about these type of experiences, these near-death experiences. And the next thing closest to that is an out-of-body experience. So talking about out-of-body experiences is a better way to understand death, because that is essentially what's happening, except with death, the soul or spirit or energy is unable to return to the living body. So therefore it's moving on to its next journey. And how you handle their death depends on the belief of the energy you carry about their death. So if you think that person went to hell, you're essentially living in hell thinking that person's has gone to hell, right? If you believe this person was a good person and believe that they're going to heaven, you're likely going to live yourself in a sense of heaven, because connecting with the memory of them is connecting you with heaven and spirit and them. So it's really about perception and the way you look at things, look at death. And like, if we can look at death as the ending of a career or a job, it's like, okay, let's take redundancy as for example. You've been working for a company for as long as you can know, and it's like you've applied yourself really well, you've worked out really well, you've established really good networks and contacts, and you've brought other people into the company, and you've helped build the company. You've really put your mind, body and soul into the company, right? This has been your life for however long. One day company changes policy for whatever reason. Lack of money, lack of resources, change whatever the reason. You've been made redundant, right? That's the death card. There's instant change, out of your control. And of course, being in that role for so long, you're going to start grieving losing that role, because it meant and gave and you did so much for it and you, right? So essentially, when we're staying somewhere for so long, we form parts of ourselves and bond and build to support around our focal, second, our primal, secondary, third and fourth support systems. Take it how it resonates. It's different for everyone. But regardless, this experience is bringing you closer to yourself and to your stardom. So whatever your stardom is, it's here. It's coming. It's here. It's like this, the Eight of Swords. This is the Nine of Swords. Fire, sorry. Nine of Fire. But this reminds me of the Swords card. Where she's standing in the snow and she's sort of barricaded by the swords in front of her, and you can see the footsteps behind her in the snow. Whereas this one, it's like protection, preparedness, resilience. So she's moved past those swords and they've become they've become her magic wands, essentially. So, find protection, be prepared for resilience. All right, so you're needing to balancing some gentle aggression and calmness. So this either you're doing this or someone else is doing this, is so gentle aggression and calmness is kind of like, gives me a feeling of narcissistic versus empath. So we all can be an empath, and we can all be narcissists. Depends where we are on the scale, depending on the situations and the environments, right? So you're needing to balance that aspect of you. All right, so there was a sense of like, so 8 of Swords, discovering new things. So 8, 9, just in time, I heard. 6 of Swords. All right, so let's look at the 6 of Swords here. So this is in your first house, Aries. I am your personality. I am how you see the world. I am how the world sees you. I am the childhood. I am the environment. I am self. I am independence. So you know that you're needing to move away. People know that you need to move away. You know that you're needing to move into transformation, to move away from negative energies, into calmer waters. There's 2 transformations that has to occur here. It's either you and someone else, or it's you and then another part of yourself. So I talked in the other readings about me, myself, and I, balancing the 3s and multiplying. Me, myself, I, how I think, how I see, how I do. How does that make me feel? So yeah, we're talking about, we had, transformation and changing and letting go. So because you're leveling up, escalating, elevating in your creative pursuits, in your abundance, you're taking action, because the thing that's opposing that was in your Taurus house. So the things that you had in terms of wealth and possessions weren't very many at all, right? So this is, in a sense, has helped you reassess your possessions versus your finances, what's coming in and what are you spending on, versus how are you trading your skills and your talents? Is this slave mentality, or am I operating in my best level? Versus my past experiences on neglect, and what have I culturally inherited by my beliefs in terms of my lack needs? So there's a sense of you elevating and being vocal about those past experiences, and recognizing that these are what's leveling you up. This is what's taking you into the star energy. So, okay, so for the message that resonated for you and someone else needing to move forward to calmer waters, there was the 2 of water here. So this is like partnerships, commitment, and reconciliation. So if you haven't been talking to your significant other or that special other person, just know that they're both on this journey too. It's like you're praying for them or hoping that they come around to celebrating you, because this is all a healing process. So what it is, it's like you're wanting to essentially make sure that you and that other person are on the same healing terms and making the same progression. So whether this is with you and a client, making sure that you understand their needs and making sure that their needs are being met. They might be coming to you with new information on the next appointment. It's like, okay, well, we haven't really addressed what was working last time. So maybe we need to find an alternative. And, this is even like with your life partner. If you've been pulled away or pulled back from them, just let go of a bit of the control, because their destiny is your destiny as well. So this is talking about fate, because we're healing people here. You know, the healer is intelligent, exuberant, and determined. So there's no stopping the healer because they're loyal to their operations, right? They believe in what they do, and they do it because they believe in it. You know, they believe that a patient can be healed, but when they're present to them, they can see the sickness. But without the healer knowing and seeing what the sickness is, how are they a healer? You know, a healer is sensitive, they have an open heart, so they're not judgmental, and they use their intuition. So the intuition involves multiples, right? So they're thinking about how do you manage your everyday stress? They're talking about your daily routine. What does that look like? Is it healthy? Or is something causing you some aggravation? Next. All right. Are you eating? Are you dancing and singing? So that means, are you eating well? Do you have money to eat? What are you eating? Are you dancing? Are you moving around? Are you finding enjoyment in your movement? And are you singing? Are you speaking about what you're talking about? Or are you going really quiet and retreating into silence? So a healer knows that looking at these things, they're assessing the mental environment, and they're going to try and start designating support systems. A healer often taps into Mother Earth's digestive system to get an idea of how the human body works. Because a healer needs to work out the mind first. So we're talking about mental emergency deterrent system. So what is the mind thinking about when it's breaking down, and where is it deterring to, and how is this happening, in which order? Healers deal with people who are going through a medical emergency and they're doing something about it. In saying that, they can only do so much, because if the person themselves who is needing the care is not seeing clearly and doing self-initiation work and deep diving, they're not able to converse and speak or sing about their stresses. So this is where a healer, a psychic healer, comes in, because they're able to tap into the energy. Doctors may be tapping into their other resources. I'm not a doctor, so I don't issue medication. I don't treat symptoms. We just talk about tarot cards here for your entertainment and to help you think about what you think about in terms of questioning your perspective, because this is all about self-development. This is about art. This is about embracing emotions. This is about acknowledging yourself and how you feel in the world. Family, love and blessings. Something that's being concealed under magic for you. So family, love and blessings. So this is the sense of lack of here. Family, love and blessings. Transmutation. Okay, so there's been some type of magic and concealment. So something done in the dark or without you knowing, or unbeknownst to you, that's been occurring, that's been transmuting your energy. So there's some heavier forces at play here, and it's talking about transmutation of law and respect. So you're needing to think about law and respect. How does that apply to you, and how does that apply to yourself? And then when dealing with others, law and respect, how does that apply to your client, and how does that apply to their beliefs? So the Weaver of Dreams. In the dream state, everything's illuminated. Okay, so in the dream state, you're tapping into genetic memory. So we've got the cockatoo illuminating, and then the lyrebird, genetic memory. And then we've got the Brolga dancing. So the Brolga talks about one love, one eternal love, one love for lifetime. Brolgas live in the wetlands and they dance. Have you seen them dance? Oh my goodness. So there's one part missing to this Brolga. There's one part missing to the dance. There's one thing left to do. And that's up to you to discover. You're needing to synthesize this information, right? So, without any scrutiny, Spirits come in with some women's wisdom and an opportunity to remove fear and rebirth your confidence. Know that daydreaming and trickstering are both the same of personal protection. Find strength in your breath, for that it transforms you and provides you with endurance to conquer your inner journeys and remove away from illusions. Find your wisdom, discover deception. That's where your abundance is. Alright, so let's read the meanings for these cards. I was just looking at the source of earth here for Gemini. So this is communication. This is communication coming from the heart, deep from the root. This is like coming up to surface. So this is like that leveling up energy there, climbing the ranks. But then this is also like, look at the green there. So the green represents the silky roots of that tree of the universe, the divine child of the universe. So for you, communication is how you're thinking and how you're educating. So when we're reading and when we're writing, we're creating our future. So to make your journey a lot quicker, get into your conscious mind. Live and operate and work from the heart. All right, so self-initiation, 1-4. Page 92. She or he, not gender specific, but there is feminine energy placed in the scenery. Okay. She knew that when the time came, she would do this without others like her around. She had worked hard for a year and a day, tested herself. Could she sense the world with accuracy? Or was she able to tune into the fire, the water, the air, and the earth? Could she blend the herbs into a healing ointment? Could she open her arms to the energy of the wild green world and channel it so it flowed to where it was most needed? She sat beneath the light of the full moon, began to understand the moods and the shades of all of her energies, and followed the path to the sun. She learned how to increase energies and how to make them smaller and smaller until they were no longer of any harm. After all this, it came time to choose her path, and she already knew what it would be. So she chose the time of the place and left it to the universe to send her to witness to this moment that would transcend so many others in her life. She chose to make the path of the solitary witch her own path. She wrote the words, memorized them carefully, and chose the spell to cast. And so she dedicated herself to the goddess, to the path, to the universe, to the service of others, to the fulfillment of her own soul's purpose. She took on a new name that for now only she would know. So the meaning of this card is a choice, a path to choose, a ceremony to commit to, and a choice. So the reverse meaning of this card, which I always read both, it's either this or that. Not acknowledging your own choices, forgetting to celebrate your achievements, always seeking an expert opinion to validate you. And then we have the Kingfisher, the deep diver. Kingfisher, deep diver. Page 62. 62. All right. Kingfisher. This card talks about peace, good fortune, balance, courage and confidence. When you fear the unknown, Kingfisher asks you to place your trust in the universe. Its magic will give you the courage to plunge straight in with an open mind. Kingfisher dives into the water to catch its prey with precision, confidence, and complete trust in their ability. Trust and believe in yourself. Be mindful of your ego and enjoy the newfound peace and freedom of immersing yourself in the unfamiliar. This beautiful bird asks you to be mindful of engaging in too much work and not enough play. Balance is so important, so don't forget to play and care for your children or your inner child. Kingfisher also asks you to dive into your deepest desires, remain true to your ideals, and embrace obstacles and challenges, for they bring valuable lessons. It may be time to assess the people and situations around you. Be courageous and respectful, and your needs by surrounding yourself with positivity to renew your energy environment. Call on the Kingfisher energy when you are uncertain about your new adventures and experiences. Call on the Kingfisher energy when you need confidence or for help removing unwanted influences. And call on the Kingfisher energy for more peace and serenity. So the advice into the unknown. It's the dive into the unknown. Dive into self-initiation. Do you really know who you are? So the chakra embodying this card is the third eye chakra, Anja, and the sacral chakra. Oh goodness, I shouldn't even try to pronounce that. Savadhisthana. Take it how it resonates, and I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing things incorrectly. So the color for the third eye chakra is purple, and the color for the sacral chakra is orange. Okay, so the mantra, let's say it 3 times. I'll say it for the first time. I believe in myself and dive into the unknown. I believe in myself and dive into the unknown. Say it like you mean it. I believe in myself and I dive into the unknown. Yeah, now you sound like the Kingfisher. Now you're sounding hungry for opportunity, hungry for learning, hungry for self-initiation. That's good. Alright, so this was your reading, group number 11. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my content. I hope you enjoy this reading, and check out my other readings if you're feeling pulled to them, especially these pick a pile, pick a card readings. They're timeless, so whenever you feel like you need to tap into that reading, that's when you need to hear that message. So look after yourself, love you lots always, love your work, love the things that you do, and love the people around you. Love the lessons we learn, and I'll see you next time. Bye.